So as we are approaching dungeons, people are trying to get the best setup they can for dungeons. One of the biggest ways people are preparing for the dungeons update is getting one of the best pets in the game. This pet being the Ender Dragon pet. So in this video, I will be going over whether you should actually grind the Ender Dragon pet manually by fighting dragons, or if you should grind the Ender Dragon pet through money and buying it off the AH, as well as how you can grind this money. But before the video starts, if you do enjoy this video, please consider subscribing, and subscribe now if you want to be in the under 10k gang, because we're only about 700 subscribers from 10,000, and I extremely appreciate all the subscribers that we've been gaining. Also, I'll be hosting a giveaway for an aspect of the dragons, a clean one, on my Discord server. So you can see in the first link in the description that will bring you to the Discord server. So if you want to join the giveaway, go into the Discord server and go to the giveaways channel and react to the message. And back to the video. So one of the big questions is if you should actually manually grind for the Ender Dragon pet. And after doing some quick calculations, I can tell you with 100% certainty that you really shouldn't, unless you want to test your luck. This video will be going over the epic Ender Dragon pet, because the legendary Ender Dragon pet is extremely expensive and is not worth it for many players. Also, for grinding manually, it is almost so obvious that it's never worth it unless you get it on your first attempt of doing this strategy to getting the Ender Dragon pet. So the rough chance of getting an epic Ender Dragon pet or an Ender Dragon pet in general is about 1 in 300. But there's something that increases or decreases the odds even more. The fact that it actually rolls for you getting an AOTD first. This means if you get an aspect of the dragons, then it's not possible for you to ever get a dragon pet. So this means out of your 300 dragons, only 8% of those dragons will be impossible for you to even roll for the dragon pet. So this means you actually have to do 324 dragons for you to actually have the chance, which makes it so you have to pay another 12 mil when grinding for these. So the price of 324 eyes is about 191 million. Which is also roughly the price of an epic dragon pet. To buy the eyes to get this many dragons, you would have to spend over 380 million coins. This means if you were to take your dragon pet and sell it on the AH, after doing all the drags with 380 million coins, you would probably sell this pet for 190 mil. But to just break even with all this, you would have to get the drops from those 324 drags, and that would have to sell for over 192 million coins. And with the huge effect that RNG has on dragons, this means that it is possible that you could make this 191 mil or even more from all these dragons, but it is also entirely possible that you will lose all this money, and you can make up to 5 mil or even less from all these dragons and not even get the epic dragon pet and end up losing so many coins. So in short, if you are okay with possibly losing over 380 million coins and you want to test your luck, then yes, go do the dragon. But if you want to be safe, like most players, I would highly recommend you just buy it from the AH over anything else. And I'll show you some ways that you can actually earn this money so you can do it extremely fast. But since farming has almost become obsolete for money because of the amount of people who know about it, the best way for you to make money right now is farming zealots. As some of you might not know, the actual average zealots killed for AI is actually 380, unlike the popular belief of 420. The basic reason that this works and it's not 420 is because you get a slight boost when you pass 420 zealots killed. This in turn makes the overall chance 380, and if you've been grinding zealots enough and you have the zealot counter mod, you'll end up seeing that your thing will be closer to 380 than 420. So considering this, if you are able to one-shot zealots and you grind for about 1 hour, you should be able to get 1,100 zealots killed, which should equate to about 3 eyes an hour. If you were able to grind 3 hours a day of grinding zealots and you got 3 eyes every hour, you would get about 9 eyes, which would equate to around 6 million coins, since eye prices are on the rise as of now. Through the use of some simple bazaar flipping, whether it's through the use of a Discord bot, a website, or your own common sense, you could make about 1.5 million extra on the side without the use of that much work. Finally, after factoring in the minions and all the money you can make from them, which I'll average out to be about 1.5 mil, you can see yourself making about 9 million coins a day with this method. You can see when looking at the AH, it would only cost you about 160 to 150 mil to actually buy yourself one of these Ender Dragon pets. And if you could follow through on this method, it would take you only roughly about 2.5 weeks for you to get one of the best pets in the game, which I would say is a pretty good trade-off. But wait, there's more. But if instead of only trying to go and kill Zealot, you tried to do the golem and maybe killed 2 to 3 of them per hour, you could have the possibility of making a lot more coins. Since there are not many statistics on the Endstone Protector and its drops, it makes it hard for me to predict how much money you will make more through the use of this method. But with some pretty good luck, you can make loads more money and possibly short down the amount of time it takes you to get it up to 1 week from 2.5 weeks. But this is way more RNG based, so if you want a for sure way to get it in 2.5 weeks, this is a much more reliable way. But if you want to test your luck slightly and have the possibility to do it really fast, I'd recommend trying with the golem setup, as you don't have to sacrifice that many things other than your time. Another extremely good thing about this method is that every player can use it due to the changes that were made to the Endstone Protector boss fight. Before, the way Endstone Protectors work is that it would only really matter if you could place high. This discouraged most lower game players, but there's still lower game players who would do it even though there was no items for them to get. Another bad thing is that this would cause lobby hopping, where a bunch of pro and tryhard players would just lobby hop because there was no incentive for them to actually contribute any zealots to the boss, which caused people to just look for high level bosses, run, kill them, hope they get a job, and leave, and repeat that over and over again until they get loads of cash. But as I mentioned before, this has actually changed, and now the golem system is much better and relies less on your placement. Even though placement still has a factor, there's a much bigger factor on stuff such as the zealots you've contributed. There's plenty of evidence that shows that contributing zealots is way more important than actually getting a high placement. Many players who before the update would have probably got no jobs started to get jobs because they contributed a large amount of zealots, and players who can even place 8th would get drops, which is extremely good as it made the items more balanced instead of only giving it to the rich players, which made the game more balanced just in general. The one bad thing that came about this was mainly that the prices of the drops actually went down quite a bit. The reason for this is that more people could get them than ever before. Now, if there was a lobby filled with the many people who had a high zealot contributed, this means there was a higher chance for someone in that lobby to get a tier boost core or a golem pet. This in turn made it so that there was more of these items in the market, which in turn makes it so the price drops as supply was increasing and demand was not changing that much. But for the golem pet, it could have been slightly due to the fact that it was nerfed heavily, and that's why there's a bigger gap between the golem pet and the new price of the golem pet because of the nerf. If you were there on the day of release and sold it, it was about 95 mil, but now it's barely about 15 mil. So the final verdict that I have come to is that basically I'll rate it from the most risk to the lowest risk. The most risk is doing the dragons. You can make potentially loads and loads of profit. which can be extremely good. But the opposite is also very true, where you lose loads of money. So I don't recommend it. Then the golem is actually a pretty good method. The reason is, even though it is focused on RNG, you don't lose any money if it doesn't work. You just lose your time. So if you are willing to grind more hours, it might be very much worth it to actually do the golem strategy. But if you're on a tight schedule and you want to do this the most efficiently, the lowest risk way you can do it is through just grinding zealots efficiently and having a good minion setup and bazaar flipping. If you did enjoy this video, or it helped encourage you to actually go for the dragon pet, or it just showed you some insight on the best ways to go for the dragon pet, please consider subscribing, as this would mean a lot to me, and we're extremely close to 10,000 subscribers. So if you want to be a part of the under 10k gang, make sure to subscribe now, and goodbye.